from the Gita, 11th chapter. If you go to chapter 11, this chapter 11, Rupa. Okay, chapter 11, verse number 40. In the chapter 11, Bhagavan Sri Krishna reveals his cosmic form, Vishwarupa. Until then, Arjuna was thinking of Krishna as a friend. Now, when Bhagavan Krishna reveals his Vishwarupa, cosmic form, then he knows that Lord himself was Sri Krishna. So then he prays, Arjuna prays to Sri Krishna, and from that prayer, we'll chant one shloka number 40 in verse, chapter 11. Om Namah Purasthadatha Prishtataste Namostu Te Sarvata Eva Sarva Anantavirya Vikramasvam Sarvam Samapnoshi Tatosi Sarvaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salutations to you, O Lord, from all directions, from front and back and all directions, from all sides. Your power is infinite and your energy unmeasured. You achieve all, and so you are the all in all, the Lord of the whole universe. My salutations to thee. Om, peace. Peace be within us all. Peace and harmony be amongst all beings. Peace be everywhere in nature. So that shloka was from Gita itself. Now today we start our study of chapter 8. Chapter 8 begins in a curious way. Arjuna asks 7 questions in 2 shlokas. The barrage of questions, 7 questions Arjuna asks in the first 2 verses of chapter 7, of chapter 8. And Sri Krishna answers 5 of those questions in 2 verses. Very quickly, short, 1 sentence definitions for 5 of those 7 questions. 2 questions he replies in great detail. Those are the answers we are going to study in detail. First question and the last question. Out of the 7, they are the most important questions. And the rest of the chapter deals with the answers to those 2 questions, first and last question. The middle 5 questions are all definitions of some terms which we don't have to worry much about. Very short definitions, and they are not, we can simply gloss over them, as Sri Krishna himself did. He didn't pay much, gave detailed answers to those middle 5 questions. So let us begin with the first shloka in chapter 8. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidaivam kim uchyate. Second verse. Adiyajna katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. These first 2 shlokas, verses, 7 questions are asked. First shloka contains 5 questions. Second verse contains two questions. So let us see what the questions are. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna asks, Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? That is the most important question. What is Brahman? The whole answer to that is the Vedanta, Brahman. Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? Then the remaining questions. Kim Adhyatmam? What is Adhyatma? Kim Karma? What is Karma? Adibhutam cha Kim Proktam? What is Adibhuta? Adidaivam Kim Uchate? What is Adidaiva? First is what is Brahman, then what is Adhyatma, what is Adibhuta, what is Adidaiva. Then next sloka, Adiyajna Katham Kotra Dehesmin Madhusa. What is Adiyajna in this body? Asmin Dehe, in all bodies, human bodies, animal bodies, in all bodies, Asmin Dehe, Madhusudana or Jigo Krishna. Adiyajna Katham, what is the yajna that is happening? Then last question, that is the most important question. That is Prayana Kale Chakatham Nyeyo Siniyatatmavihi. That is the one we have to pay very particular attention to, that answer to that seventh question. You will understand those. Before I go further, I want to point out 4 shlokas, 4 verses in chapter 8. Those are verses 5, 6, 7, and 13. Make a special note of these. We'll study them in detail. 5, 6, 7, and 13. These 4 questions are very, very important. These 4 answers to these 4 questions are very, very important. And we'll have to study them in great detail. Other like Adibhuta, Adiyajna, those things are not important. We just, Sri Krishna himself did not give detailed answers. Just half a sentence, 1 sentence definitions.
Swami, you are muted.
I can't hear.
Done.
You're muted, Swamiji.
No, you
Now-
can hear now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Swami.
Something happens in his computer. So Sri Krishna's answers to these questions begin in shloka number 3. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavan, Sri Lord Sri Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam Sabhavodhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samjnitaha. First answers to first question. First question was Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? And Sri Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Brahman is supreme, imperishable being. Akshara means, the word Akshara has 2 meanings. Akshara means the letter of the alphabet. Here Akshara means imperishable. Akshara means something that perishes, goes away with time, ends. Akshara means that is always present, never imperishable, never perishes. Brahman never perishes. All other things except Brahman perish. Everything that we can think of other than Brahman, they come to an end at some time. Given these big things in nature such as sun, earth itself and the sun and all the stars which are suns, galaxies, they all perish at some time or other. Even huge galaxies which contain billions of suns, stars, they also perish, disintegrate and go merge into black hole. And new galaxies are formed. So that is cosmic process, creation, destruction is going on all the time. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. We know our human bodies are not permanent. After some time, it will go away. We have to accept that fact. Everything is perishable. Only thing that is not perishable is Brahman, Aksharam, Brahma, Paramam. Paramam means supreme reality. That is answer to one question, but that answer will come later. You will explain later nature of Brahman in subsequent verses. Then he answers the second question. Second question was, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam. In the first verse, second question was, Kim Adhyatmam, what is Adhyatmam? Answer to that is only half a line. Swabhavodhyatmamuchyate. Swabhava means one's own true nature. Our true nature is divine. Swamiji said in a famous sentence, each soul is potentially divine. All beings are divine in nature. But most people are not aware of our divinity. We think we are the body and the mind, which are perishable things. The divinity is present within us. That is our true nature. Swabhava means our true nature is divine. That is Adhyatma. The divinity, that is our true nature, that is Adhyatma. Swabhava Adhyatma Muchyate. Very short answer to Adhyatma. And it's not, no more details are given. We don't worry about it much. Answer to third question. Third question was, Adhibhutam Chakim Proktam. What is Adhibhuta? And the answer is, third question is karma. Kim karma? Answer is Bhuta Bhavod Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samhitaha. Third question was in the first sloka, Kim karma? Purushottama, O Lord, what is karma? Brief definition of karma is given in the second line of sloka number 3. Bhuta bhavod bhavakaraha visargaha karma samhita. Visarga means creation of all the beings. How does the creation happens? That was briefly explained in the third chapter. Sometimes you have to go back to earlier chapter for some of these answers. The third chapter, the two shlokas, 14 and 15, where the whole process of cosmic yajna was described. There it says, when rain happens, because yajna is done, Parjanya Dhanna Sambhavaha. Parjanya means rain. Parjanya happens because of karma, yajna that people do. When rain happens, all the beings come into existence. Animals and plants will come, then animals will come, people will come. That process of creation of all the beings, Bhuta Bhava Udbhava. Udbhava means growing, arising, taking birth. Bhuta Bhava Udbhava Karaha. The process of by which all the beings come into existence at the time of creation, that is karma, karma samhitaha. Not much detail is given, so we'll leave it there. Then we go to sloka number 4. Next question was, Haribhutam Chakim Proktam. First question was, Haribhutam is what is the Adhibhuta? An answer is given in the sloka number 4 at the beginning. Adhibhutam Ksharo Bhavaha. Very simple, short answer. Kshara means perishable. Akshara means imperishable. That we saw. All the perishable beings are Adhibhutam. See, in our personality, there are two aspects. We have to become familiar with them. It came earlier also. One is the perishable aspect. Body, mind are perishable. They will end at some point. That is Kshara. There is an Akshara in within us also. That is the divine presence. The divine presence never got of existence. Even when the body dies, divinity remains. That we study from second chapter. Second chapter, shloka number 20. It says when the body dies, Atman does not die. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Got to go back to previous verse for answers. Second chapter, verse number 20. There, the Kshara, Akshara, both parts are described. Sharira is Kshara. Sharira means the body. Body includes subtle body, mind also. At some time or other, they will all disappear, vanish. Body vanishes, that we know. But when the body dies, something remains, imperishable. What is that? The Atman. That is Akshara. Kshara, Akshara, both are present within us all. So here the answer is Adi Bhotam Ksharo Bhavaha. The perishable part in our bodies, in our personalities, that is Kshara. That is the physical aspect. That's going to go away. That is all the answer to that one. Then next question was Adidaivatam. So that answer is given in the fourth verse, second part of first line. Purushascha Adidaivatam. Purusha means the supreme being, the Lord himself is present within us. He is the Adidaivatam. Adidaivatam. Then answer to next question. What is Adiyagnya? Answer is in the second line of fourth verse. Adiyagno hamevatra dehe dehavritam mara. And question was, what is Adiyagnya? Answer is dehe aham eva adiyagnaha. Dehavritam mara. The best among human beings, addressing Arjuna in that way, Sri Krishna says, the constant process of all the physiological, psychological functions happening in our body, that is Adiyagnya, that is the Lord himself making it possible. Adiyagnya means all the processes that are happening in the body in the form of yajna is Adiyagnya. That is all the answer to that question. Now comes the most important answer to the most important question in sloka number 5. This is the one we have to study repeatedly and keep in mind and practice. Sloka number 5. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. This is answer to the last question, which was in the second line of verse number 2. Last question, seventh question was Prayana kale cha katham jneyos niyatatmabihi. So the last question, Arjuna. The answer to that question comes in several slokas in this chapter until number 13. So the fifth sloka had answer to the seventh question. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati atra na samshayaha nasti. Nasti. There is no doubt in this one. What is the answer to seventh question? Antakale, at the last moment of our lives, mameva smaran, remembering me alone, not remembering any other worldly things. Generally, people think about something very dear to them at the last moment. They think about their child or a grandchild, or think about some other business matter. Something else will come to the mind, which I have been thinking most of the time. But that should not be like that. We should think about God at the last moment of our lives. But we have to make it a point to ensure that we think about God at the last moment. From this moment onwards, we have to remember God all the time. That will come later. Antakale, at the last moment of our life. Mam eva smaran, remembering me alone, not anything else. Kalevaram muktva. Kalevara means the body. Giving up the body, releasing the body. At the last moment, thinking about me. Me means the Lord Bhagavan. Yaha prayati, that person who proceeds. Prayati means to continues the journey to the next life, who leaves this body. The person who leaves the body, that means in plain terms, a person who dies thinking about God at the last moment. What happens to that person? Saha madbhavam yati. He assumes my nature, he becomes one with me, merges in me. Atra samshayaha na asti. Na asti atra. These three words are combined. Nasti atra. Na asti atra means in this here, in this matter, there is no doubt. Samshayaha nasti. So that is the instruction that we have to follow from this moment onwards. That will come later. How to remember God at the last moment will come later. So, but we have to remember God at the last moment. Or to make it a point to remember God at the last moment. We should not think about any worldly matter at the last moment. That must be our goal. How to achieve that one, we will explain in the next two verses. Verse number 6, shloka number 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. This is a general statement. Whatever thought is uppermost in our minds at the last moment of our lives, that will indicate our destination, where we will go after leaving the body. Yam yam vapi smaran. Bhava means any subject. Any subject is a bhava. Smaran, remembering whatever subject, any subject. Kalevaram tyajati ante. Kalevaram means the body. Gives up the body at the end of this life. Ante means at the end. Tam tamevaiti kaunteya. That subject will be where he will go. He will reach. His destination will be what he is thinking at the last moment. For example, if somebody has a business and he has a partner, and the partner is cheating this person. This person is on the deathbed. So this person thinks about his business. My partner is taking away all the money. He's not giving me my share. Like this, he'll be thinking about his business. That should not be. He should think about God. But at the mind, the thought of God will not come. The thought of business will come, because that's what he has been busy with all his life. Whatever a person has been thinking most of the time during the lifetime, that thought will come to that person's mind at the last moment. That is general principle. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam ante kalevaram tyajati. Whatever thought is a person is thinking at the last moment and leaves the body, tam tameva eti. That alone he will reach. Whatever subject he is thinking, that he will reach. If he is thinking about business, next life also he will become a businessman, worry about business. He's thinking about children, next life he will have a lot of children, he will be worrying about children. So whatever we are thinking at the last moment, that indicates where we are going to go after leaving the body. Therefore, if we want to reach God, we should be thinking about God at the last moment. That is the instruction. That's the conclusion, instruction. Sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever subject, bhava means subject, a person has been thinking sada at all times during the lifetime, that subject will come to that person's mind at the last moment. So we are building up to that last moment. If you want to be able to think about God at the last moment of our lives, we have to practice thinking about God from this moment onwards, not about other subjects. That will come in the next verse. Second. remembering whatever being, whatever subject one gives up the body, at the end, that very subject one reaches. O Arjuna, ever conforming to that being. This is an important instruction. Whatever we are thinking most of the time, that will be thinking at the last moment. And that is where we are going to go after leaving the body. Therefore, what we have to do, make a special note of verse number 7. This is the key instruction in this chapter, verse number 7, the 5-star shloka. Let's do verse number 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmarayudhya cha mayyarpita mano buddhihi mame vaishyasi asamshayaha. Very important shloka. Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, at every moment of our lives, at all times, sarveshu kaleshu, mam anusmara. Anusmara means remember me. Mam means me. Remember me at all times. Immediately question comes. I have to go to work every day. I work with co-workers and supervisor, very stressful work. How can I remember God? At all times, I have to work, think about my subject, about the work I'm doing. I can't remember God. Supposing you're a neurosurgeon and you have to do very delicate, complicated surgery on somebody's brain. And if you think about Om Namah Shivaya while doing surgery, the patient will get liberation. That should not be done. The instruction for such people who are required to do work that requires full concentration, not possible to think about God during that work. For them, the instruction is think about God before and after. Before beginning the surgery, when you are getting ready, take 5 seconds to pray to God. Oh Lord, I won't be able to think about you because the nature of my work requires full concentration. I have to focus on the surgery I'm going to do. I won't be able to think about you. Please accept my work as my offering. Let me do the best work I can do. Give me the strength and wisdom to do the work properly. May good happen from my work. And I will be focusing my attention on my work until it is completed. That takes only 5 seconds. You can do that prayer. And however long the surgery takes, 7 hours, 8 hours, or whatever, or longer. After that, as soon as it is complete, before you go to the next patient, take 5 more seconds to pray to God. Oh Lord, I have done my best. I could not think about you during the surgery I was doing because the nature of work was like that. I have to concentrate 100%. Please accept my work as my humble offering and may good happen from this work. Say that prayer and go to the next one. Before and after, for those people who have to concentrate on their work. We have to pray before. It only takes 5 seconds to pray mentally. You don't have to do anything outwardly. Other people don't have to know you are praying. All happens in your mind. And after the work is complete, take 5 more seconds to do the prayer that I'm offering my work as my humble offering. May good happen to everybody by this work. Like that. That is the instruction. Tasmat, coming back to verse number 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, at all times, mam anusmara, remember me. And second instruction, yudhya. Yudhya means fight. Fight means, Sri Krishna is not asking all of us to fight at all times. Sarveshu kaleshu yudhya, you should not interpret like that. Yudhya means perform your duty. This instruction was given, remember, in the battlefield to Arjuna. This whole conversation, Gita, is happening in the battlefield. So Arjuna was, his duty was then to fight. Therefore, Sri Krishna is saying, do your duty, which is required to be done at the present moment. Not always fighting. Whatever is your duty at this moment, that we have to do. and remember God, offer everything to God. Then verse number 7, second line. Mayarpita mano buddhihi mameva eshyasi asamshayaha. Asamshaya means no doubt. Undoubtedly, you will reach me. Mameva eshyasi, you will reach me. By remembering me at all times and doing your work as an offering to me, and doing your duty as if it is worship, as if it is offering, as if it's service. Several attitudes are possible. We have discussed them. They will come again. We can do all our work as a servant. That came in the third chapter. Third chapter, sloka number 30. Sri Krishna said, Maya sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. 5 instructions he gave. 330, very important verse. One of the instructions was, perform all your work as a servant performs service of his master. Like Hanuman, best example of service. Dasya bhava, dasa means a servant. Practicing dasya bhava as a servant of the Lord, I'm doing all my work with great devotion and sincerity, and to the best of my ability, best quality work I'm doing, and offering it to the Lord as my humble service. That way, attitude we can cultivate. It all happens in the mind. Work does not change. Other people in the workplace don't have to know anything about it. It's all in your mind. I'm doing it as an offering. I'm doing it as service, as a servant of the Lord. I'm a dasa. I'm a servant. Lord is my Prabhu. He is my master. That attitude we can keep. Anybody can practice that attitude. Mayarpita mano buddhihi. Offering, dedicating our mind and intellect. Mana means mind. Buddhi means intellect. Mayarpita mano buddhi. Dedicating all our mind and intellect to the Lord. May means to me. Mameva eshyasi. You reach me alone. Nasamshaya, asamshaya. No doubt about this. How to keep the mind on God? How to keep the intellect on God? Mind and intellect. The thought are separate, though they are one. Mind, intellect are one. Functions are different. Functionally, they are different. They are not two separate organs. Antakarana, one internal organ. Thinking about the Lord all the time is a function of the mind. All the time means if the work is requiring concentration before and after, as we saw before. Otherwise, at all times, when we are not doing anything in particular, think about God. In the mind, this function of the mind, thinking about God. Buddhi means the intellectual faculty, discriminating faculty. Buddhi we should use to discriminate in this way. The most important thing in my life is God. All other things will come later. Family, property, money, job, and success and fame, and everything else has a place in my life. I don't have to give up anything completely, but they occupy a secondary place. The most important place in my life is the Lord Himself. That discrimination is the function of the buddhi. Mayarpita mano buddhihi. Then what happens? Atra nasamshayaha. Mameva eshyasi. You will reach me alone. You will reach God alone if we do 3 things. One is Sarveshu Kalashu Mamanasma, remembering God at all times. One thing. Second thing is Yudhya, performing our duty as an offering, as a service, as a servant. That is second thing. Third thing we have to do is dedicating our mind and intellect to the Lord. Thinking about God at all times is a function of the mind. Discriminating, saying that God alone is the one most important thing. Everything else will come later. Keeping God as the first and foremost, giving it foremost priority in our life, that is the function of the buddhi. Nothing else is as important as God. They have a place. We do them off, don't give up anything completely. We don't have to. But they all come after my dedication, devotion to God. That is the instruction. So verse number 7 says, try to remember me at all times. Practice remembering me at all times. Now, verse number 8. Abhyasayogayuktena cetasa nanyagāmina paramam purusham divyam yati parthānuchintayan. O Arjuna, steadily thinking with an unswerving mind, disciplined in the yoga of repeated practice, one proceeds to the supreme divine spirit. How to reach God? Yes, more instructions are given here. Cetasa, mentally. Cetas means mind. Mentally. Na anyagamina cetasa, a mind that does not go in other directions. Anya means other, different from God. Na anyagamina, a mind that does not stray away from the thought of God. Na anyagamina cetasa. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Abhyasa yoga means came in the 6th chapter. Abhyasa. Chapter 6, verse number 26. There Sri Krishna has explained how to practice abhyasa. Whenever the mind goes away from the topic related to the work, bringing the mind back patiently, gently, back to the topic on which you are thinking, especially during meditation. Meditation, puja, study of scriptures. Sometimes what happens, you are studying Gita or some other scripture, but the mind is wandering everywhere. You are reading a book, but mind is thinking so many things. That immediately we should catch the mind and bring it back to the topic which we are studying, on which we are engaged. That is Abhyasa Yoga. Na anyagamina cetasa abhyasa yoga yuktena. A devotee must practice this, bringing the mind back from all the digressions to the topic of God. God is the most important thing. Whom should we think about? Paramam Purusham Yati Partha Anuchintayan. Anuchintayan means thinking about the Lord in whatever way we are used to thinking. Some people may think of God as Rama, some may think of God as Shiva, some may think of God as Durga. That's our choice. Thinking about the Lord in our chosen way at all times, not letting the mind wander here and there. What happens to such a person? Paramam Purusham Yati. Divyam Paramam Purusham Yati. Yati means goes, reaches. Such a person who practices concentration, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, reaches the Lord, Paramam Purusham, the supreme Purusha, supreme being, Divyam, divine being, Yati means reaches. So the benefit of performing all our work as offering, as worship, as service, keeping the mind always on God in some way, connecting ourselves to God in some way, that will make sure that we reach God after we leave the body. That is the intention, that's the instruction given in 7 and 8. Practicing the presence of God, as Brother Lawrence did. He was working as a cook in a Christian monastery. His leg was injured. He was in a war, a veteran. So he had got a job as a cook in the monastery kitchen, preparing food for other monks. In those days, this was in 17th century. He was born in 1611 and died in 1680. 1680 or 1690. He lived for 80 years, 1690. During that time, his job was to prepare food. Those days, there was no electricity, there was no running water, everything had to be done manually. No machines were there, no food processor, grinder, nothing was there. Everything had to be done manually, and person had leg injury. When he could not stand in the kitchen for long periods of time to prepare food, he was transferred to a shoe repair shop. There his job was to repair the shoes which require repair of other monks. Some other monk needed the shoe to be repaired, he would bring it and throw it here. And Brother Lawrence's job was to repair the shoe and give it back to him. When he was doing this cooking, shoe repairing work, he was doing everything as an offering to God. Most of you are familiar with the book, Practice of the Presence of God. Practice of the Presence of God. Very interesting book. It has the 16 letters written by him. He did not write the book for publication. He wrote letters, and those letters were posthumously published by his admirers. So that there he describes how he practiced dedicating all work to God. That will come in the next chapter. It already came in third chapter. So verse number 30, 330. Maya sarvani karmani sanyasya, dedicating all your actions to me. That is made more clear in the next chapter, verse number 27, 927. We'll study that in detail when we get there. 927, Sri Krishna says, whatever work you do, including eating, specifically mentions eating, yadashnasi, all work, offer it to me, tatpurusha madarpanam. That's what Brother Lawrence said. That is how to keep our mind connected with God at all times, even when you are engaged in work. Whatever work we have to do for a living, or at home, cooking, cleaning, taking care of children, doing laundry, all this work have to be done as dedication, as offering, as worship of God. In that way, no matter what we are doing, we remain connected with God in our minds. I'm doing it as an offering to Him. That thought should be in our mind. You may be doing any work that we require to be done, but your mind is connected to God by doing all the work as an offering, as a service, as worship of God. That's how to remain connected with God at all times, practicing the presence of God. Now, in the 9th verse, whom are we thinking about? To whom are we going to offer our work? Whom are we supposed to think about at all times? In the earlier sloka, I said, remember me at all times. Sarveshra kalashima manusmara, he said. Whom are we going to remember? Who is that Lord whom we remember? That is described in verse number 9. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. This sloka number 9 describes the Parama Purusha, Supreme Lord, whom you are supposed to remember. In the previous sloka, verse number 8, Sri Krishna said, Paramam Purusham Divyam Anuchintayan. Thinking about the Supreme Purusha, Parama Purusha, Supreme Purusha, Divine Purusha, Divyam. Who is the divine person? What are his qualities? Those are described in verse number 9. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Kavi means, generally the word Kavi means a poet who writes poetry. Kavi also means one who knows everything, Sarvajna. The Lord is a Kavi. Bhagavan is called Kavi because he knows everything. All other beings have limited knowledge. If you take human beings, some are very highly knowledgeable people. They know many, many things and are in great depth. But still, their knowledge is limited. No one knows everything. That's what Socrates said. When somebody praised him, you know everything, he said, I know that I know nothing. That is true humility and that is sign of knowledge. If somebody brags about, oh, I know all these things very well, it is certain that person has limited knowledge. Those who have limited knowledge, they brag about their knowledge. I know so much like that one. Those who have full knowledge, they remain humble. So what do I know? Little only I know, like this. So Kavi means Sarvajna, one knows everything, was only the Lord. Other beings have limited knowledge. The Lord has unlimited knowledge. He is omniscient. God is omniscient. The word for omniscience is Kavi, omniscient. Kavim Puranam. Purana means ancient. In Hindi, the word becomes Purana. In Sanskrit, it's called Puranam. Purana means beginningless. It has no, God has no beginning. Everything has a beginning at the time of creation, but God was there before creation. So he is beginningless. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram. Anushasitaram means one who rules, administers the whole universe. Anushasana means administration according to law, making sure everybody follows the law, follows the rule. That is Anushasana. Anushasitaram means one who administers the whole universe. Makes sure everybody does the proper thing. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan. Anu means a small atom. Smallest thing in atom is Anu. Ano Aniyan, smaller than the smallest. Sukshmat Sukshmataram, subtler than the subtlest, smaller than the smallest. Anoraniyan, and the opposite is Mahato Mahiyam. That's not here in this verse, but it is understood. Greater than the greatest, smaller than the smallest. That means carefully describing, giving any dimensions. Anoraniyan, Yaha Samanusmare. See that first line in chapter, in verse number 9, many words are combined. Purana Manuswachitara Manoraniyan Samanusmare. Yaha, it's all printed as one word. But you have to separate the word, then it becomes easy to understand. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyan Sam Anusmare Yaha. One who remembers the Lord, who is omniscient, Kavi, who is beginningless, Puranam, who is the administrator, ruler of the whole creation, Anushasitaram, Anoraniyan, who is subtler than the subtlest. Yaha Samanusmarid, one who remembers the Lord in this way. Sarvasya Dhataram, the protector of all the beings. Dhata means protector, upholds, protects all the beings. So Vaisya the protector of all the beings. Achintya Rupam. Chintanam, Chinta means thinking. Chintanam. Achintya means unthinkable. Rupa means form, whose form is unthinkable. We can't put a limit to a form, though we do it. We take one divinity like Krishna, for example, or Rama, for example, is a personality. The mistake we do is we limit God to that one personality. He is limitless. There's no form. But for our convenience, we think of God as having form. He himself has no form. Formless, attributeless, nirguna, nirakar, Brahman. That's reality. But we can't think about anything that has no form or quality. We need form or quality to think about some things. Therefore, we think of God as having form and quality, guna. Saguna Sakara, Brahman, God with name and form, for our convenience. But he himself has no name and form. We can't limit him to any name and form. Achintya Rupam, whose form cannot be thought about. Aditya Varnam. Aditya means the sun. Varna means color. The color of the sun means he is bright, better than the suns. If you put 1,000,000 suns, then God will be better than that. That will come in the 11th chapter. 11th chapter, when Arjuna sees Sri Krishna's cosmic form, then Arjuna says, this is brighter than in thousands of suns at the same time in the sky. Imagine that at the same time, thousands of suns arise. One sun is so bright we can't even look at him. If thousands of suns arise, Divisudre Sahasrasya, Bhave Jagabadattita. How much bright it will be, God is brighter than that. Actually, that verse was recited by Oppenheimer when the first atomic bomb, experimental bomb, has exploded. Seeing that explosion, the brightness of explosion, Oppenheimer was a Vedantic scholar. He knew Gita and everything. He chanted that one particular verse which comes in the 11th chapter. Now we will study that when you go to the 11th chapter. That's how bright God is. You can describe God's brightness. Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam, brighter than 1,000 suns. Tamasaha Parastat. Tamas means darkness. Darkness means ignorance. Beyond all ignorance. God is omniscient. He knows everything. People, we are in ignorance. We are in darkness. We know only little thing. And even that little thing gives us pride. But really, what do we know? Really, if we ask ourselves, we are proud of our knowledge. But if we ask ourselves honestly, how much do I know of reality? Really very small, nothing. But God is Tamasa first, beyond all ignorance, beyond the domain of ignorance, full knowledge. Such a person, Kavim Purana Manashasitaram, one who has all these qualities described in sloka number 9, him we have to remember at the time of death. We should think of God in these terms. God is omniscient, knows everything. He is beginningless, Puranam. He is Anushasitaram. He is the administrator, ruler of the whole universe. Anoraniyan, subtler than the subtlest. Yaha some anusmaret, one who remembers. Sarvasiddhataram, as the protector of everything. Sarvasiddhataram. Achintya Rupam, whose form cannot be visualized or imagined. Aditya Varnam, who is better than thousands of suns. Tamasa Parastat, who is beyond all ignorance. Such a Lord, we have to remember in these terms, using these qualities and other qualities. These are only some. His qualities cannot be enumerated. Infinite qualities are there. But some, for the sake of practical convenience, only some qualities are listed in this verse number 9. You have to think of God in these terms. Now, it's almost time. Let us do verse number 10 quickly and then we have some time for questions. Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva bhor madhye pranamavesha samyak tatam param purusham upaiti divyam. At the hour of departure, prayana kale, whoever with a steady mind and devotion and the power of yoga sustains aright the life force between the brows and remembers, reaches the Supreme Spirit Divine. Now, this sloka should not be taken literally. We need not do this thing at all. It's for some small number of people who have practiced yoga, Raj Yoga all their lives, not for general devotees like us. Prayana kale, at the time of departure, achalena manasa, with unmoving mind. Chala means something that moves. Chanchala. Achalena manasa means with a mind that does not move away from God. Bhaktya yuktaha, with full of devotion. Yoga balena, with the power of yoga, practicing yoga for a long time. Bhruvor madhya, bhru means the middle point between the eyebrows. Bhruvor madhya, between the eyebrows. Pranam samyak aveshya, fixing the prana shakti between the eyebrows. Not for all of us. You don't have to literally take it and try to practice. That's not meant to be practiced by everybody. Prana balena samyak pranamaveshya yoga balena param purusham divyam upaiti. Such a person who concentrates with all his yoga power between the eyebrows, such a person reaches the Supreme Lord, Paramam Purusham Upaiti. Now, this practice of Raja Yoga is only for small number of people who have been doing it under proper instruction, guidance, not independently by reading a book, under proper teacher's guidance. Those only can do fix the prana shakti between the eyebrows. For us, thinking about God is enough. Manasa bhaktya asalena bhaktya. That first part is good for us. Asalena manasa bhaktya yuktaha, with full of devotion. Devotion we have to have. That we all have to have devotion to God. Asalena manasa, with mind not moving into other worldly objects. Thinking about that we have to do. First line we have to do. Second line, Bhruvor Madhye Pranamaveshya, that is not for us. We can safely disregard that second line. That's only for a small number of people who have been practicing Raja Yoga under a proper teacher's guidance for a long time. That we don't follow. So we'll stop here and continue next week. If you have questions or comments, we have a few minutes left.
Name of the book you just now told about the how to practice that God realization. What is the title of the book?
How to practice God realization? Go to verse number 7. There,
Okay.
simple instruction is given. Verse number 7.
Okay.
Tasmat sarvesha kalasya mamanusmara yudhya. Two instructions are given. For mainly two that we can all do. At all times, sarvesha kalasya, at all times, mam anusmara, remember me. In the midst of our work, remember me. One instruction. Second instruction is yudhya, perform your duty. No, we should not give this as an excuse for not doing our duty. We should not say, today I will not go to work because I want to think about God. And that is not meant like that. We have to do our duty. Whatever is your duty at home, at workplace, or wherever, that we have to do. In addition, we have to remember God. How to remember God while doing the work? Dedicating all work as an offering, as worship, as a service. That can be done before, after. If the work requires full concentration, then give full concentration to the work. Don't worry about God at that time. Before, after. Before you begin, pray to God, I won't be able to think about you during this work because I need to concentrate 100% on my work. Then I'm dedicating this to you. Please give me this time to do it, wisdom to do it properly. May good happen. This is, I'm doing it as an offering, as my service, as my worship, as my service. 5 seconds prayer. Then you focus on your work, however long it takes. After that, again, you pray 5 seconds, you take, I have done my best. May good happen from this work. I don't want any glory or fame from the work I have done. Is offered to you as my humble offering, as my worship, as my service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Swami Kamal Chaudhary has a question. Pranam Maharaj, thank you for the beautiful lecture. Why so much emphasis is given on remembering God at the last moment? Why is that moment so important?
Whatever thought we are thinking at the last moment, that indicates we have been thinking about God all our lifetime. That's what it means. We won't be able to think about God at the last moment unless we have been thinking about God all the time. So it's a culmination of our life. Whatever we think at the last moment shows what we have been thinking most of the time in our lifetime. That's why it is last moment. It's an indicator. Whatever we think at the last moment indicates what I've been thinking most of my time during my lifetime. It's not just one moment. We can't think about God as one moment until last moment, unless we have been thinking about God most of the time. So whole lifetime is a practice. Anything else? If not, we can say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May there be harmony amongst all beings, no ill will, no hatred. May no one be subject to misery. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you stay well and stay in touch, and God willing, we shall continue our study next week.